Hello again. You're watching the Midday View on eNCA DSTV channel 403. Now, Amnesty International is accusing governments of launching unprecedented attacks on freedom of expression. Its report, titled "Silenced and Misinformed," is raising the alarm about journalists and health professionals being silenced for criticizing governments' responses to the global health crisis. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Amnesty International South Africa's Executive Director, Shenilla Mohamed. Ms. Mohamed, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday View. Just to get a sense first, what period of time is this report covering? Is it since the pandemic?
Well, good afternoon, Braden, and good afternoon to your viewers. Amnesty International monitors freedom of expression consistently, but this report is really covering the pandemic period. So it's really over a period of, almost 2 years since the onset of the pandemic. And what we've seen actually is that, freedom of expression, freedom of information, etc., has worsened during this period because governments are using the pandemic as an excuse to clamp down on journalists, on health professionals, on people who are out there trying to put information out there. And of course, this has had quite a drastic effect on people's ability to be able to access the information they need to take decisions.
Yeah, hence the misinformation side. Because I was thinking you can silence journalists or you could silence those who convey messages and information, but the people might get information elsewhere. So I mean, how bad is the repression?
Well, we've looked at a certain number of countries. China is one. On our own continent, Tanzania is another big culprit. I mean, in Tanzania, we saw not only was the government denying the existence of COVID, but then once it acknowledged the existence of COVID, it started to clamp down on journalists and health professions and anybody else that was putting information out there. We have seen in China journalists being imprisoned for trying to report on stories. There's one journalist who was sentenced to 4 years. We've seen problems in Nicaragua. We're seeing problems, in many countries of the world, Dan. And I think that, the challenge or one of the things that as Amnesty with this report, we're trying to make people aware of is please be aware that rights are being curtailed and that your freedom of expression in many countries is being clamped down on. And this should not become the norm because, the COVID is being used as an excuse in order to clamp down on people's right to get information.
Yeah, because you're seeing reports now and again on the African continent, for example, of some governments, whenever information comes out around the coronavirus, the officials would rubbish it as fake even before it's verified, and therefore depriving people of being able to make the right choices.
I mean, Braden, we've seen it in South Africa where, there are certain doctors who have come out and said that they are being, they've been talking about side effects of certain vaccines and they are being shut down. And we've seen denials from the state. But, the ultimate problem with all of this misinformation or clamp down on information is that the public becomes confused. We are already seeing vaccine hesitancy. We are seeing that, in Africa, a very small percentage of people have come forward to be vaccinated. And of course, this is the result of what the states are doing. When you don't allow people access to information that gives them the fuel they need to take informed decisions, then people step back. They hesitate, they step back, they don't want to step forward and put themselves at risk. And we're seeing that in many of these countries.
Yeah, and finally, I mean, South Africa, I'm not aware of any kind of strong censorship or censorship at all in this space, but there's all these kind of noises all the time in terms of what is real, what is verified and stuff. Instead of governments embracing the media, for example, to use us as a channel, as a vehicle for the right kind of information, to empower people more to deal with the virus instead of shutting us down.
Absolutely, Burden. And I think, the biggest thing is that one of the biggest culprits are the social media, the big tech companies. And one of the things that governments need to do is they need to start, regulating some of these companies, because the amount of false information that is peddled through these companies is also problematic. So again, we are saying that in the same way that we are calling on pharmaceutical companies to make vaccines available, to give people intellectual property rights, we are calling on states to make the information that people need in order to take the decisions they need to take readily available. And of course, as you're rightly saying, the media is a great vehicle for this type of information dissemination, because the minute you start clamping down, then people start to get scared, they start to wonder why, and of course they withdraw, and that withdrawal is costing all of us, because we've seen in Africa has got one of the lowest rates of vaccine uptake compared to other parts of the world, and that is something we should be worried about.
Ms. Shenilla Mohamed, as usual, thank you very much. She's, of course, from Amnesty International South Africa. She's Executive Director there.